raise a family, they have some of the same opportunities that me and my wife.
You agreed that we need to see them as a terrorist organization.
On a private cloud server, yes or no?
To love country, to love God, and to try to do the right thing.
Worked for the nation and the interests of the people.
Welcome back to the Fresh Freedom Podcast, a podcast with 5 freedom-loving freshmen who are members of Congress. I'm Eric Burleson from Missouri, and today I'm joined by Representatives Josh Burkeen from Oklahoma and Eli Crane from Arizona. You know, as Congress goes, there's always something that comes up last minute. So we may at times not have members join us. Today we don't have Andy Ogles or Anna Paulina Luna, but you know what? That's probably the way it's going to be because all of us are very busy. We all have constituent meetings that come up. And I know that Andy, for example, has in-district things today. But we're looking forward to having the other 2 freshman members join the crew the next time. And with that, I want to get things kicked off by asking the first question. And that question is a strange one. The question is, what kind of strange questions do you get asked or have you been asked since becoming a member of Congress?
I'm going to turn it. The question I keep asking that may be strange to staff in D.C. is, did you schedule me any time to eat? Because the days are so busy that they don't know if you had anything for breakfast, and lunch comes and goes without a secluded time for that. And then by the time that afternoon rolls around and my stomach is confused because it thinks my throat's been cut, I'm starting to ask a strange question that's been happening for weeks. I think staff has now realized that I have to eat, so it's either schedule time to eat or eat junk, and I don't want to do the latter.
I have the same thing. To me, it's scheduling time to go to the bathroom sometimes. Sometimes it's like you're in the middle of a conversation, and I have to tell my staff, I have to go to the bathroom. Like this, because I haven't had a chance all day. And so timeout, give me a chance.
Yeah. No, I get asked all the time, where do you sleep? A lot of people want to know if I have an apartment or if I sleep in my office. I do sleep in my office. It's pretty amazing. I've slept in worse places before, but
yeah.
No. And then I also get asked all the time, is it as bad as I think it is up there? Is it as swampy as I think it is up there? And the answer is undoubtedly yes, it is. Even though we don't have the other 2 members with us, we do have this bust of the former president, who I want to give a shout out to, who's dealing with a bunch of nonsense right now.
It is.
Political witch hunt that never seems to end. I don't think it ever wins or will. And the one thing I want to say about it is I think they keep going after him, honestly, because he stands in the way of what they want to do to you.
Yeah.
And that's the way I've always seen it with this guy, and I'm glad that we have guys like him with as much courage, because honestly, I know a lot of the people up here now. I don't know everybody up here, but I don't think most people up here would have withstood a lot of the stuff he has. I think most people would have just faded off into the sunset and been like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm done with that.
Yeah.
I'll let somebody else fight that fight. So,
You're known by your enemies, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of times you can figure people out. You know them by their enemies, and so by his enemies, you know that he wasn't turning the swamp into his own personal hot tub.
That's right.
Right. Well, to your point, what's so amazing about President Trump was that he was a person who was successful outside of politics. And really, I mean, there's a lot of people that think, I don't want to get in politics because I don't want to ruin my reputation. I don't want to,
Absolutely.
I don't want to sacrifice everything I've built up and be thrown to the wolves. And sadly, this guy, from the moment that he was elected to today, and he's been out of office, he is still being attacked continuously. And so no self-respecting person would want to put themselves through that. Like you have to be crazy to want to put yourself through this or really love the country. And I think that for him, it's the latter.
Right. No, I agree. But anyway, shout out to DJT.
Yeah, we're pulling for you, DJT.
Yeah.
So, okay, so next question is, we've been doing this a while. What special experiences have you had since being just a few months in?
The bust of President Trump kind of helps us pivot for me. The wall, to go to El Paso and see a segment of the wall that President Trump put in, and to be in a helicopter, and Eli and I were at the same time I don't think we're in the same chopper. We may be in the same chopper. I was strapped in facing the rear. He probably, as a former Navy SEAL, was given a better position because they weren't afraid he was going to fall out of the plane like they were me. But they had me so strapped in. But I was facing backwards. I didn't vomit on myself traveling. I was proud of myself for that. And to be able to get up with the Air and Marines, the Border Patrol, and to see where President Trump's wall ended. This is like afternoon, and within 100, 200, 300 yards, it's hard. Depth perception is hard when you're that far up in the air. But to see the wall had been stopped, and these guys are laying in the crevices of this mountainous terrain, hundreds of yards away from where the wall ends. They're waiting for nightfall to cross. Right. And to see that and to know that physical barriers work. President Trump just listened to the people on the wall. He employed what they were telling him. And then last week, for another hearing that we had, to be able to ask President Biden's chief of the border, Ortiz, whether he believes in physical barriers. Mm-hmm. We have a president of the United States right now that in 06 voted for the Secure Fence Act, which actually put physical barriers up. So Raul Ortiz responded to my question. President Trump built 400 miles, rehabbed 400 miles of wall. Biden comes in, and with 250 miles still slated, fully funded to be put up, Biden, by executive order, shuts it down. Did you agree with that? And here's the guy that's an appointee of Biden saying, I disagreed with that decision by President Biden. Pretty telling.
That's bold.
It was really bold.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty cool experience. And to Josh's point, I mean, you're up in those helos, and it was group after group after group that just kept seeing the helos fly overhead. And it was interesting to watch them, Eric, because they would take off running from the helicopter. And then as soon as the helicopters, got out of sight, they would just turn right back around and come back because they knew there would be no repercussions if they crossed. And then while we were down there at the border, not 5 minutes after we left one of the check stations, a load of, I think, cocaine came through in an SUV right while we were right there. And then, we finished up our tour. We went to one of the detention centers that they were putting illegals in the detention center. And it was just one of the tent cities. I think there were 9 of them. And I think each one of them cost the American taxpayer, was it like 200
million over the course of the year.
200 million annually. And there's 9 of those.
Yeah.
And it's just unbelievable. And each one of them, I think, took 60 Border Patrol agents off the line trying to catch those drugs that we just saw coming through, or catch those folks that were trying to cross the border. And it's madness down there. And it's just unbelievable what this administration has done. And it's unbelievable, when you start talking to some of these folks that are dealing with the fallout of it, having loved ones die of fentanyl, or, whatever it is, it's really sad.
And you guys went because of the committee that you're on?
Yeah, Homeland Security.
Yep.
I went with Andy Biggs. Andy Biggs led an effort to Del Rio.
Yeah.
And I went last week and saw very similar to what you guys saw. I didn't get to ride in a helicopter. So
that's pretty cool.
I'm going to
have to ask Andy about that. My invitation must be in the mail or something. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But it's eye-opening. When you see it on the news, it's one thing, but when you're right there and you see it firsthand, it becomes real.
Yeah.
And
is that part of the oversight committee?
I don't know. I think it was an open invitation, but members of oversight were there. So it was Tim Burchett and me and Andy Biggs, which if you ever hung out with Tim Burchett, he's a hoot.
Yeah, well, he's the only guy. He's the only guy on the House floor that has an assigned seat.
Because he's assigned it to himself.
Yeah, because he assigns it to himself. You can go look this guy up. He walks in. He wears a suit like the rest of us, but he wears a Carhartt
over the
big,
suit.
farmer's jacket over his suit.
He wore that
legit,
on the border.
Man. It's pretty legit.
He wore the Carhartt over his clothes on the border when it was like 80 degrees.
He's a good dude. I like him.
He's hilarious. Okay, so speaking of hilarious, I hear, Josh, you have a video.
So cue the prop. We'll let our Vice President of the United States do the talking for us. There was a game, a difference of points, 30-point difference, and she goes into the locker room to console those that had lost. Now, these are athletes that are used to both winning and losing, right? So this isn't a place where we're talking about fourth graders. These are people that are advanced in their years, and they know how to be good winners and good losers. And so you're about to hear our vice president give a pep talk to those who have just been trounced by a 30-point loss. So cue prop.
You guys are so good. You guys are so good. You played hard. You played to the very last second. You made all us Bisons so proud. You hustled out there. You are smart. You are disciplined. You put everything you had into the game. And you know, that's what it's about, right? Until the last minute. You guys did that. You didn't stop until the last second. You did not stop. And that is so inspiring. So you keep playing with chin up and shoulders back.
Wow.
Because you showed the world who Bison are. Right? I mean, literally what you have done is in historic proportion. You know, I was at Howard back in the day where we were just happy that there was a game, much less getting to this place, right? And I see Bison literally all over the world, and we've been talking about you, this team, you all, this team, this year, this team. You make us so proud. So I know you may not be feeling great right now, okay? But know who you are. You are excellence. You are hard work. You are powerful. And you are winners. All right? So please know that. Please know that. And I'll see you later. And if you guys ever want to come and do a White House tour, where's Coach? Where's Coach? There you are. Come, so we plan, if you guys want at some point, right? When it's like when you feel like playing
look at
maybe a
these
Friday
players.
afternoon, whatever. Just come and we'll do a White House tour, okay? All right, I'm so proud of you guys. So proud of you.
Wow.
All right, I'll see you later. Okay.
So,
That's awful.
if they'd been kindergarten or second grade, maybe the comments would have been more appropriate. But organized sports at that level.
That's someone who walked into the room not having a clue what she was going to say, right? Like she was not prepped at all, or even had a clue what it was like to be on a team, and that after you lose, you don't want to have a speech.
I mean, I actually thought it was pretty good after this. After listening to the president for the last 2 years, you can't string together a sentence half the time. You don't know what the hell he's talking about. I actually thought that was she should be writing his speech.
Yeah, that was not
trophy.
like an Al Pacino, any given Sunday speech, right?
Participation trophy, man. That's the culture we live in, right?
But you could see the look on those guys' faces. They were down. They were not into it at all.
That's what happens.
Read
what
the
happens
room.
when you lose a game and then you know Kamala Harris is going to come talk to you. I mean, what's worse, guys? The loss by 30
Or having to sit
Kamala
through. That's right.
coming in and talking to you guys.
Well, when she said that I'm so proud of you played to the very end, I can't get over the thought that it's just a basketball game. You have to play to the very end.
Right, you don't get a choice. Yeah. Okay, well, that's all the time we have for our second episode. I want to thank everybody for watching. And if you'd like to submit an audience question, please click the link in the description below and send us a question. It might be asked in the next episode. Additionally, you can find all of our social media handles in the description below. And please give us a follow to keep up with what's going on with us. We'll see you next time on the Fresh Freedom Podcast.